Hey guys, and welcome back to part 2. In today's lesson we're going to be working with some classic 3D text and working with a camera. So here is what we will be making. Let me just play it out at the actual speed. So we have our 3D text and we have our camera doing a nice little flyby using keyframes. So yeah, that's what we will be making. It's not the flashiest or the nicest looking intro, but the purpose of this lesson is just to introduce you guys to the camera and to using 3D text. So hope you guys enjoy. Let's get started. Alright guys, so once you've made your new project, you can just create a new composition. And we'll come down to layer, new solid layer. We'll just keep the name as dark gray solid, and we'll keep our layer color at gray. Click OK. Okay, so to turn this into a 3D layer, you will see here there's a little 3D layer option. So it's a little 3D box, and right underneath it you'll see an option to toggle it on and off. So we want to make sure that the box is in our little, we need to make sure our box is in our box. And then if you come down to the transform, you'll see our X, Y, and Z rotation have shown up now. And if we make it a 2D layer, they will disappear. So 3D, 2D, alright? So now we're going to take our X rotation and we're going to move it back. So we're going to pretty much make this the floor. So we'll rotate it back by about 75, and we can just bring it down, and we can drag the ends here and just extend it out a little bit. Okay, and we can just collapse that. Come down to our text tool, and we can just type in Udemy. Okay, we can scale it up pretty big. So about there, and we can just make it white, and the outline color white as well. Okay. Also make sure that you make this a 3D layer, and we can now duplicate the text with Control D, and now we're going to, this is going to be our fake shadow. So instead of making a shadow with lighting effects, we're just going to use another 3D text layer, which we're going to make black. And we'll drop down the transform, come to the Z rotation, and move it back as well to make it seem like it's lying on the floor. And we'll make it black, and we'll make the outline black as well. If you see your text clipping like it is here, you can just click on your front text and move the Z axis a little bit forward, and maybe the Y axis a little bit up. Okay, so that looks good. So now we have our 3D text with our fake shadow in the background. Okay, so now we are going to create our camera to fly by the text. So we'll come down here to layer, new camera, and we'll just click OK. Alright, so once you guys have made your camera, you can just drop down your camera options, come down to the transform, and we're going to be working with the position. So we're going to choose our starting position, which is going to be from the left hand side, and we're going to end it off where it's going out of the right hand side. Okay, so for the position, for the first value, you can just make it around -1500. You guys can obviously, depending on how big your text is and how big your comp is, you can just drag left and right with the mouse and just pick a spot that looks good for you. So if you wanted to come in from the top, then you'll play around with the middle value and you'll just drag your mouse until you find a good spot for you. But we're going to have ours just coming from the left, so we'll just leave it around there. And for the third value, we want to zoom it in a little bit, so around there looks good. Like I said, you guys can just play around with these three values to choose a good starting spot for your camera. Once you have your starting spot, you'll just keyframe. You'll move into about 5 seconds and we will change our first value and we'll drag it to the right. So now as you can see, that we're making the camera fly by text, and we'll just sorry, not the middle value, we'll take the third value and we'll just make it zoom out so the entire text is visible, and we'll go to about 10 seconds, change our first value to mirror our starting value. So as you can see, it starts out from the left hand side here, it zooms in and flies back out while keeping the Udemy always visible. Alright, so we can maybe make it fly past a little bit quicker, so the entire intro will last about 5 seconds. So now we can ram preview and see what it looks like. Right, so there's our first 3D text with our first camera. You guys can play around with the position, and you can really get some nice, even with just this simple 3D text layer and a camera. Just with those two things, you can really make some nice effects and some nice intros. So see you guys in the next lesson.